Your phone does not have to be broken to become useless. It only has to be cold, or wet, or dropped once, or left running with the screen too bright for 1 hour longer than you expected. And then the strange thing happens. You are standing there with a device that can talk to satellites, calculate routes, show traffic, measure altitude, and identify your exact location. Except now it is a black rectangle in your hand. No signal, no battery, no map. And this is the part nobody likes to admit. Most people are not lost when their GPS dies. They were lost before it died. The GPS was just hiding it. What I'm going to show you is not a gadget. It is not an app. It is not some expensive survival tool being pushed by outdoor influencers. It costs $0. It works without satellites. And versions of this thinking have been used by hikers, surveyors, soldiers, pilots, sailors, hunters, and field workers for generations. Not because it is flashy, because it keeps working when everything else stops. Now, before anyone gets carried away with the title, let's be clear. Military maps were not magically banned in 1995. That is the dramatic version. The real story is quieter and honestly more interesting. As GPS became more common through the 1990s, ordinary people slowly stopped learning the map skills that used to be normal. Paper maps, grid references, contour lines, terrain association, dead reckoning. All of it started feeling old-fashioned. Not useless, just overlooked. And overlooked knowledge has a funny way of looking like forbidden knowledge once people forget how powerful it was. So today, I want to put one forgotten skill back in your hands. The strange part is, people did not forget how to navigate because the old method failed. They forgot because the new method was easier. And easier is dangerous when it quietly removes your backup plan. Think about how most people travel now. They do not learn the route. They follow instructions. Turn left in 400 feet. Continue for 2 miles. Rerouting. Rerouting again. That works beautifully until it does not. The battery dies. The trail map does not load. The road is closed. The blue dot jumps to the wrong side of a ridge. The downloaded map does not cover the area you actually wandered into. And suddenly, you realize something uncomfortable. You were never navigating. You were obeying. Old navigation works differently. It forces you to build a mental picture. You notice the river. You remember the ridge. You track the road angle. You estimate distance. You know which way the sun is moving. You look behind you occasionally because the return route never looks the same as the route going in. That is not primitive. That is situational awareness. And once you learn it, you start seeing the world in a completely different way. Here is the $0 method. When your GPS dies, you create what I call a 3-anchor field map. Not a beautiful map, not a professional map, not something you would frame or upload or brag about. A survival useful map. You need 3 things: direction, distance, and terrain. That is it. If you can track those 3, you can stop wandering randomly. You can make intelligent decisions. You can retrace your path. You can move toward a road, waterway, trail, building, or known landmark with far more confidence. Start with direction. If you have a compass, use it. But if you do not, you still have clues. The sun rises generally in the east and sets generally in the west. It is not perfect, and it changes depending on season and location, but it gives you a rough orientation. Shadows move. Slopes face different light. Moss is unreliable as a main method, so do not build your plan around it. But the sun, shadow movement, and known landmarks can help you maintain a basic directional sense. If you know you walked away from a road heading mostly north, then returning generally south already gives you a starting strategy. Not a guarantee, a strategy. And in a real situation, strategy beats panic. Next is distance. Most people are terrible at estimating distance because GPS has made the number invisible. You just walk until the app says stop, so use time and pace. On normal ground, an average walking pace might be roughly 3 miles per hour. In rough terrain, that can drop dramatically. Hills, mud, snow, thick brush, injury, darkness. All of these change the number. So do not pretend precision. Track estimates. I walked about 20 minutes uphill. I crossed the stream after 5 minutes. The trail fork was maybe 10 minutes behind me. Those little estimates become powerful when combined. And then terrain. Terrain is the anchor most people ignore. Look for features that do not move. Ridges, rivers, roads, power lines, fences, valleys, cliffs, lakes, large buildings, towers, bridges, and tree lines. A road is a line. A river is a line. A ridge is a line. A power corridor is a line. Lines are your friend, because if you can reach one and follow it, you are no longer drifting. This is why old maps were so valuable. They did not just show where you were. They showed the shape of the land. Contour lines told you where the land rose and fell. Blue lines showed water. Black lines showed human-made features. Trails, roads, boundaries, structures. All of it gave your brain something to hold on to. Now here is where this becomes powerful. You do not need a perfect map to stop being lost. You can build a rough one from memory. Take a scrap of paper, the back of a receipt, a notebook, or even dirt on the ground. Mark your last known point. That might be your car, a campsite, a trailhead, a road, a bridge, a cabin, or the last intersection you remember. Put a dot. Now draw the first direction you traveled. Do not worry about perfect angles. Rough is better than nothing. Then add the features you remember in order. A fork in the trail, a fallen tree, a creek crossing, a steep climb, a clearing, a fence, a bend in the road, a rock outcrop, a noisy river to your left, power lines overhead. You are not making art. You are building memory outside your brain. This one act does something important psychologically. It stops the spiral. When people feel lost, they often keep moving just to feel like they are doing something. That is how a small mistake becomes a dangerous one. The field map forces you to pause, reconstruct, and think. And once you reconstruct, you can ask better questions. What was the last feature I am sure about? Did I cross water? Was the sun in front of me or behind me? Was I climbing or descending? Did the trail curve left before or after the clearing? Could I return to a linear feature like a road, stream, fence, or ridge? Those questions are not dramatic. They are practical. Practical is what gets you home. Now let's talk about the military map idea, because this is where people usually misunderstand the value. The power was never just the paper. The power was the system. Military-style navigation teaches you to divide the world into grids, reference points, bearings, distances, and terrain features. It turns chaos into smaller pieces. Instead of saying, I am somewhere in the woods, you learn to say, I moved northwest. From the trailhead, crossed one stream, climbed to a ridge, then descended toward a second drainage. That is a completely different kind of information. One is fear. The other is a report. And when you can report your own situation clearly, you can solve it more clearly. Even rescue teams benefit when a person can describe terrain, direction, time, and landmarks. I walked for 40 minutes from the Red Gate, and crossed a creek is much more useful than I have no idea where I am. This is the forgotten advantage. You do not need to be an expert to be less helpless. You just need a framework. So here is the simple version you can practice. Before you leave your car or starting point, stop for 10 seconds. Look at the direction you are heading. Notice the biggest landmark. Notice whether you are climbing or descending. Notice where the sun is. Then, after 5 or 10 minutes, look behind you. This is huge. The way back almost never looks like the way in. A trail fork that seems obvious from one direction can disappear from the other. A boulder that stood out on the left may blend in on the way back. A clearing may look completely different when the light changes. So train yourself to take return snapshots. Not with your phone, with your eyes. Every time you pass a major feature, ask, would I recognize this coming back? If the answer is no, stop and study it. This habit costs nothing, and it may be more useful than half the gear people carry. Now, if you want to take it one step further, count your paces. Pick a short known distance, like 100 meters or 100 yards, and walk it at a normal pace. Count how many times one foot hits the ground. That becomes your rough pace count. Again, rough is fine. You are not surveying land. You are giving your brain a measuring tool. If you know that 65 double steps is roughly 100 meters for you on flat ground, then 130 double steps is roughly 200 meters. On hills or rough ground, adjust. You will be slower. Your steps will shorten. But even an imperfect estimate helps. The goal is not perfection. The goal is to avoid guessing blindly. Before you trust this, test it somewhere safe. Go to a local park. Walk a loop. Put your phone away. Notice direction, distance, and terrain. Sketch a rough map from memory. Then compare it to the real map later. You will be surprised by two things. First, you will miss details you thought you noticed. Second, you will improve fast. That improvement is the point. The first time you do this, your map might look childish. Good. That means you are starting. The fifth time, you will remember more. The 10th time, you will begin predicting where trails connect. Eventually, you will feel the land instead of just moving through it. And that is the part modern navigation quietly took from us. Not convenience, awareness. Now, safety matters. If you are truly lost, injured, in dangerous weather, or in unfamiliar backcountry, do not treat this like a game. Stay calm. Conserve battery if you have any. Contact emergency services if possible. Stay visible. Avoid risky shortcuts. In many cases, staying near a known point or open area is smarter than pushing deeper into unknown terrain. This method is not a replacement for proper preparation. It is a backup layer. Carry a paper map when it matters. Carry a compass if you are going somewhere remote. Tell someone where you are going. Download offline maps before you leave. Bring power backup if the trip depends on electronics. But understand this clearly. Gear can fail. A trained mind fails much more slowly. That is the real secret. The old method was never about nostalgia. It was about independence. When GPS works, use it. There is nothing wrong with using good tools, but do not let a tool erase the skill it was built to assist, because one day, the screen may go black, and when it does, the person who knows direction, distance, and terrain is not helpless. They are already building a way home. If this helped you see navigation differently, subscribe for more overlooked skills that still matter when modern systems stop cooperating. And the next time you walk away from your car, your campsite, or your trailhead, do one small thing. Turn around. Look back. That view might be the most important map you carry.